Welcome back to Respect the Process. Chris Stewart, voice of Alabama.
Whatever I'm told to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm Kelly Hunter. And again, it's been my kids were like, "Why did you say it's a hell of a week?" I was like, "Because that's just it's been a
every week.
It's been a heck of a week since last we met."
First of all, I dressed up for you,
well,
and I'm glad I did.
No, this shows that we're comfortable with one another.
There we go.
There's no point.
There we go. No,
I'm not saying the shine has worn off, but let me ask you this:
had it shine off sooner.
So last week I loved one of the graphics that the guys on Next Round had up where they had flames just shooting up because Rome was on fire. Tuscaloosa was on fire last week. How do you categorize the usage of the transfer portal?
I thought you were going to ask me to categorize the reaction, and I would say typical.
Okay, yes.
Because I get the concern.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural. You got to have players in order to be who you want to be. As great as Nick Saban was as a coach, he'll be the first to tell you the reason that he had so many wins. Good people around him, but great players on the field. And you're losing some, but that's what college football is now. That's the way it looks. They're going to fill those spots. They're going to fill them with really good players. We're not going to be stuck playing 8-man football at Alabama next year. Everything will be fine.
Yes, good point.
Can I tell you that the roster on day one of the season is going to look on paper as good as last year's? No, I can't tell you that. But I can also tell you this. There's not one Bama fan who locks in on recruiting services and stars and all of the stuff that does have some relevance.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one that would have taken Washington's roster over Alabama's at the start of last season. We're going to be fine. Relax. I'm not sitting here saying that everything's going to be as great from the get-go as last year was on paper. Let's at least get to February before we cancel the season and say, oh, well, it was a nice run. And one more thing. Different day, different time. The portal has a lot to do with it. But let's not forget, as much of an idiot as he was, it took Les Miles about 6 or 7 years to screw up what Nick Saban left behind in Baton Rouge. Kalen DeBoer gives no indication of
chewing on grass,
or any of the other stuff that proved to make Les Miles nowhere near as bright as some were giving him credit for. It's going to be okay. Relax. Let's get through a season. And it's natural people be concerned. I get that.
Yeah.
I get
They're
that.
watching talent walk out the door.
Yeah. You're watching some great players go, and they're going to your enemies. But let me tell you this much. There's a lot of stuff that I like about it. You hate losing guys to anybody. Tough losing a couple to Texas. But losing them to Ohio State, losing them to Iowa, you ain't going to have to play Iowa.
Yeah.
Ohio State, may see them in the semis.
Yeah.
May see them in the finals. Don't have to see them in the league. It's okay. Wait until the dust settles, and then you've got a chance. But I know that's not going to happen. It's natural. People are going to react the way they want to react, and it's either we're going to beat everybody or the sky is falling. There is no in between for the majority of people.
Is it because it feels personal? Is it because in some ways is this people trying to get back at Nick Saban or get back at Alabama?
Look, that's natural when when the beast is wounded in the jungle, everybody wants to take a bite of it.
Well, exactly, yes.
Okay.
Everybody's taking a nibble.
And been the beast for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely what people do. There's nothing that's happened that surprises me. Not the transfers, and I couldn't have named names, and I didn't know there'd be this many. But I'll be honest, I didn't know the rule that you've got 30 days once a coaching change is been made. I didn't realize there were rules.
A lot. Exactly.
I didn't know there were rules in the NCAA anymore. My bad.
No.
I didn't know. Frankly, I didn't know they really existed.
Yeah.
It is. There's nothing about concern, wailing, gnashing of teeth, people coming after Alabama thinking that there's, a hole in the boat, however you want to, whatever analogy you want to use.
Yep, lots of them.
None of it has surprised me at all.
Okay. I this morning on the next round, they had Tyler Booker came on, which I think it was. I enjoyed listening to him because it was really the first time we'd heard any Alabama players speak candidly since Coach DeBoer came on. And one of the things that I got in his tone is it is truly now an us against them. You're either with us or you're against us. And one of the other interesting things they talked about is with Caden Proctor talking about Iowa. And one of the reasons he decided to go was they hit me up during the season. Okay, well, I think the rule is there are no rules right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys have either decided that we're going to go where the money is, we're going to go. And you can't blame somebody for going where the opportunity is.
Nope.
But truly, when it comes down to it at this point, this is now a business.
It is. And this is exactly what Nick Saban was talking about 2 years ago. Yeah. 100% what he was talking about 2 years ago with the portal. Is this what we want college football to be?
Right.
And he didn't want to see it 2 years ago. And yet when they made it clear that's what it was going to be, he's like, okay, you've made the rules.
Yeah.
Here I come. And he won in the portal game. He picked up some great pieces. It's not surprising that now that Alabama's lost, what the stability that they had with the head coach, and not that it's unstable, but you know what I mean. Now that there is a transition, now that there's a 30-day window, it's natural that some guys would look, what the offers were before, what the offers are now. Not surprised at what's transpiring. It's going to be really interesting once all this is said and done, if they do step in and change the rules going forward, which is going to have a lot of Bama fans ticked, because in 12 months, if the rule changes, they're going to be mad they didn't get their opportunity to feast the way teams have now. And again, this has been going on since the portal change. We simply are seeing it up close.
We've got a front row seat.
We got a front row seat to it. People are taking the cookies off our plate.
That stupid
right now.
Dr. Pepper commercial is it's happening.
That's it. Blame it on Boz. No, it is. It's hitting home now.
Yeah.
That's why people are more aware of it. That's why they're bothered by it. I get it. Just chill. Y'all come down off the ledge.
But I remember that years ago, I was talking to a very good athlete, and they were saying, and they were giving advice to younger players, saying, you don't go to a program because of a coach. Coaches leave. You go to a program for the program.
Sure.
And I think that's absolutely true in any sport. You could be recruited by a coach, and by the time you get on campus, whenever your sport gets on campus, they could be gone.
Right. But that's what we deal with now.
Yeah.
That's part of it. I mean, look, you don't think Georgia thought they were going to, when they hired T-Rob, you don't think thought they were going to get Caleb Downs?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying they hired him before that. He's a good coach, great recruiter, all that stuff. But I'm sure they all expected Caleb Downs to follow. Didn't happen. Goes to Ohio State. Here's the other thing I would say about it, and I guess I don't know that I've answered one of your questions.
No, you have.
Hammering.
You've done a beautiful job.
You're
go
very
ahead.
very
Keep
kind,
going.
and
Yes.
you're lying. I appreciate it. No. There will be people who say, look at Alabama before Nick Saban arrived. And they're right. Alabama was down before Nick Saban arrived. But Alabama wasn't down just because Mike Shula was there and there'd been a struggle. Alabama wasn't down because he had to follow a coach who didn't even get to coach one game, and down because Dennis Franchione bolted. Let's remember what happened. Dennis Franchione bolted because Alabama was about to go on probation. Yep. Okay? He bailed. That didn't work out real well for him.
Mike Price
had nothing to do with Alabama football. No. It had everything to do with making bad choices. What happened with Mike Shula, he helped stabilize a bad situation, okay?
Yes.
Needed to have somebody different. We got him. We didn't just get somebody different. We got the absolute best of his generation, okay? But it's not like Alabama was terrible just because Alabama wasn't any good. Alabama was hamstrung badly. So, and by the way, with all of that, Franchione, well, let's just go back. The guys that followed. We're talking about going to Dubose?
The
guys that followed Gene Stallings, who won a national championship. Mike Dubose, Franchione, and Mike Shula all had 10-win seasons. Dubose won an SEC title.
Yep.
Fran was real close. Okay? If he doesn't go on probation, I think Dennis Franchione wins SEC and national titles at Alabama. He'd be wrong, but I really think he was trending that direction had it not been for probation. And had he just weathered the storm and stayed, his career wouldn't have been wrecked, and Alabama would not have dropped as far as they did.
Yeah.
There would have been more stability there. You would not have had the 4-win season or whatever the rough year was. So that all being said, this is a much, much different situation. Much different situation. It is in fantastic position. Will there be, and here's what I mean by a dip. Only 10 wins next year, only 11 wins. Okay, but you're expanding it to 12. There's a really good shot.
Yeah.
It's still getting in the playoffs. If he gets in the playoffs next year, based on what we're looking at in January, we may not feel that way. We may feel it's national title or bust by the time we get to end of August.
And that was one thing Tyler said today was, he said, we're hiring the guy. We've hired the guy. He's on staff who got where we wanted to be.
Absolutely
and
right.
And now he
with
will
less to work with.
And now he will have SEC caliber speed. He will have SEC caliber strength.
Right.
And he has brought into, I really do think he's circling up the guys because he has said that he has a couple non-negotiables. One of them is family, loyalty, togetherness.
Right.
And so you do kind of get that locked arm at this point of, okay, this is us.
Michigan won't be Michigan.
Right.
Ohio State's going to be really talented, but not everybody's buying in the leader of that program. And there are a lot of people excited that Bill O'Brien is now running his offense. Whether that's fair or unfair, that's just the way people are feeling right now. Georgia is still really talented, but Georgia also has a little doubt in the back of their minds because they know what resides in Tuscaloosa, even though the man doesn't. Well, he does still reside in Tuscaloosa, but he ain't coaching. My point is, it's not as if it's impossible to catch what's ahead of you. And even if Nick Saban had come back, even if we'd won it all last year, we don't know what the impact of the 12-team playoff is going to do.
Right.
In terms of attrition, once you get into the playoffs, how's that going to – we don't know.
Right.
And this is going to be a year where, maybe – I will put it this way. Regardless of where he's coached, Kalen DeBoer is quite familiar with getting teams to the playoffs and to championship games and being successful far more than he is familiar with being unsuccessful. And I mean at the highest level.
His staff is shaping up. From what I can see, some solid pieces. Nothing splashy, nothing Bill O'Brien, but
Good.
I think he's hiring from
Sorry.
I was saying, when you start to look at these guys and see their resumes and see what they have been able to accomplish, you're going, I think this could be.
The coaching aspect of it is tremendous. Can they get players on campus? Can they win the battles that Nick Saban and his staff were able to win, that took great classes and made them historically great? He did it time after time after time. That's what we won't know until a few years from now.
Yeah.
And what's going to work, will what they did there translate at Alabama? Will he recruit differently? Will they be able to recruit at that level? I think they're going to. I think what they have to recruit to, the understanding of it, the work you have to put in, all those things, that's something that's going to work out very well for him.
Have there been any Coach Saban sightings around Tuscaloosa?
I'm not aware.
Okay.
I have not. I've not had anybody on high alert looking for him. I know this, and I think I told this last week when I saw him at the press conference and we talked for a little bit. I asked him that day.
Oh, that's
it was
right.
at 12:45. I said, "You hit any golf balls this morning?" And he said, "Not yet."
And from what I've heard, his putting coach had a good weekend this past weekend. So
Nick Dunlap had a good weekend. It was great to be JC well.
I was going to say, and you know what? It's the best situation was to finish second in that tournament.
It was not bad because you still got 1.5 mil.
You took home
for
the purse
second place
because number
The
one
kid
was going
won.
back to college.
How about that? I mean, every professional in the tournament lost to a 20-year-old who had to be in class the next day. Was supposed to be in class the next day. I'll be highly disappointed in Nick Dunlap if he was in class this morning at 8 o'clock. I would be. I'd walk in just with the trophy.
Oh, exactly.
I'd walk in. Sorry, I'm late.
Mm-hmm. A little bleary-eyed, but
sleep through class. Yeah, it'd be a good day to be Nick Dunlap. That's for sure.
I know. See if he gets in any putting sessions. Okay, so as for personnel, they still have an additional 2.5 weeks now at this point for any other players that are interested in entering the portal.
I think so. My guess is this. If you're going to, you've probably already done it.
Yeah.
They've had a chance to develop, for lack of a better term, in a week's time, relationship, understanding. You got a little better clarity and vision if you're a player of who your guy is. And, if you're going to leave, my guess is you've probably already left. There's one we hadn't talked about, the quarterback deal. And you may have that on the list.
Nope. Go ahead. Well, I wasn't. Yes, go ahead.
You lose a 5-star.
Yeah.
That everybody was so excited about, and understandably so.
Is that Sion who was going up to Ohio State?
Sayin.
Thank you.
Yeah. And he's going there. But the guy they've got has been around college football for a year now. He's been around that staff. He's been in that system for a year. He comes better equipped to produce as a backup. Because, by the way, we got the guy who came along really well and was
and who's
the
excited
major
to be
reason we
yeah.
got. And he's excited, and he's been the leader, and I'm really glad Jalen Milroe's back. So you're basically talking about next year's backup.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people concerned. I get it. He was the top candidate, but he was the top candidate based on what you were running and what you plan to do. This kid that they brought with him for Washington was their target. He knows, again, they know who he is, and he knows what they want done. He can hit the ground running and gives you an immediate great situation at backup, in addition to Ty Simpson, who, by the way, came back and stayed.
Yeah.
And I admire the heck out of it. He will still compete this spring as well. So that position, not just for the next season, but going forward, again, going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to get guys, and who knows? Even if he'd stayed, even if, again, Coach Saban had stayed, there's no guarantee that Saban was going to be you get a better starting point.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited about seeing him. Don't get me wrong. I really wanted to see the kid play where things were. But if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm not putting him on StubHub just because you've, got a change in that regard for something that, in all likelihood, barring an injury, is not even going to be your quarterback situation until 18 months from now.
Yeah. And also there'll be another graduating class of seniors, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
After that one.
I got a feeling we'll sign another one.
So let's talk a little bit of basketball. Well, we got some time here because it was an interesting week this past week. A great performance against Mizzou at home last week. Second half was a great game. Now, what about Sears? Is he nicked up at all? Because he turned an ankle there in the Mizzou game.
Yeah, and that was kind of scary because of how important he is, obviously.
Yeah.
Tried to go in the second half, went a little bit. I never asked Nate about this, but just guessing.
Yeah.
He wanted to test his guys. First of all, he played him a little bit. The kid wasn't 100%.
Right.
Something tells me if that had been Auburn or Tennessee and you had the score where it was, Mark Sears may have stayed out there longer. But with things already trending the right direction in the second half, get him out of there. It's Tuesday. You're not going to play again until Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's not potentially lose this guy for a week when you had Auburn and Tennessee coming up, and you know your chances of winning are far better. Now, no,
and see how the team responds as you were alluding to without him. Yeah,
some of that, and they did a great job. Now, they did not play well against Tennessee, and they got waxed.
Yeah,
you play like that against Auburn, you will get waxed, and then some.
Yeah,
because I think Tennessee's really good, but we know when it's Alabama-Auburn, it gets personal. And so they would love to come to Tuscaloosa and have Bama down and just see exactly, how much they could put the foot to the floorboard in that. So you've got to play far better, but something tells me that Alabama will in Tuscaloosa.
And that's one thing, you'd like to see him string a little consistency together.
You would.
Because that's one, Lance brought up a great point this morning when they were talking about this past weekend. And, it's up and down and up. And they have played prior to conference play. They'd played really well. They just hadn't beaten some of the top-ranked teams that they played against.
Right. That's absolutely fair and accurate. I do think it's why I've said from day one that if they stay healthy, and thankfully Mark appears to be, that it wasn't anything serious. He's okay. I've said from the start this team would look far better in February and hopefully deep into March than they're going to look in November, December, and even January, because you got some really good talent to come in.
Yeah.
But none of them were brand new.
And that's the thing.
They had not played together.
You can't say growing up because he's got, for the most part, these guys are upperclassmen. It's growing together, exactly.
Yep. And learning, offensively, they were able to get things done. They're high-level guys that can score. How are they going to be on the defensive end?
Yeah.
Because there's so much communication needed on that, and you got to be able, there's a trust factor, and you got to be able to help and all that stuff. So that's why I still think they're trying to figure that out together. Now, they're closer.
Yeah.
They got popped, but Tennessee's really good.
Tennessee is great,
And they were home and all those things. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that, and that's also what happens in college basketball now because teams are so good. If you're going off of the point differentials in Saturday's ball games between Alabama and Auburn, you would go, well, if you're Alabama, why are you even showing up? Change the locks and, make sure the doors are locked and you turn the lights off and maybe Auburn will go away.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way it works. Alabama is just as capable of getting hot and winning by double digits if Auburn doesn't play well and Bama plays like they have been. So it was a bad result, and you only had one guy in double figures, and it was Mark Sears. but I'm still not concerned going forward. I obviously concerned about the game Wednesday because Auburn's great.
Yeah.
You could play great and get beat, but I'm not worried about how Alabama will play just because they didn't play well at Tennessee.
Yeah, that's the thing is you know that they are capable, and we have seen them play capably. The other thing last week was I hated it because last Tuesday night when Alabama hosted Mizzou, it was that night when we thought there was going to be inclement weather. A lot of people didn't get out. Coach DeBoer was
North
introduced.
Alabama, it was bad.
I think classes had been canceled even at the university that day, so the university was kind of shut down. But Coach DeBoer was introduced that night.
Yeah.
I would like to think he might be there at the Alabama-Auburn game to
There's
at least
a good chance.
Go out and tip his hat and
I wouldn't be surprised.
give everyone
They did a quick intro
yeah.
during a timeout. And Dr. Bell was there, but Greg brought him out, introduced him, and I know it wasn't planned this way, but it couldn't have been at a better time for that one, more fever pitch, because students were packed. Students turned out in a big way. They gave them better seating overall. Anybody that came after the first media timeout, you could slide down, sit wherever you wanted, which I thought was a great move.
Yeah.
The crowd was into it. They were close. There were a lot of people there, given the fact that nobody north of Birmingham probably was able to get there because of the weather. So that was really nice, but it was Coach DeBoer came out right after Coach Oats asked
was
not
it
so
right
kindly,
after he
guided a
he helped a
gentleman.
player move to another
He assisted him to the exit area from his team's huddle.
Yeah.
And received a phone call, I think, from Commissioner Sankey over that, but nothing more. However, the place was rocking.
Yeah.
At that moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's not an appearance at halftime.
Yeah. Was there any, other than receiving possibly some communication from the commissioner, was there any other blowback or fallout from Coach Oats?
No suspension, no fine, nothing like that.
I didn't think so.
It was strictly a public reprimand, and that was done by the league office, and it's over. And look, again, it's something that I believe confidently that Coach Oats would like to have back, but also, while we all have our moments that we're not exactly proud of.
At our workplace sometimes.
Anywhere. Yeah. He apologized to Dennis Gates of Mizzou in the handshake line, to which Coach Gates said, we'll talk later, which is fine. Mm-hmm. That's his right. But Nate did try to apologize there, and he did stop the young man from Missouri and apologized to him face-to-face before they ever left the floor. Yeah. It's not like he had to get pulled in and say, hey, you need to call him. He did it as soon as the game was over with. So he recognized that a mistake had been made and things had gotten too heated. And
was that right in front of you? Or was
it was opposite.
Okay, that's what I was trying to
and so I couldn't see directly.
Yeah,
because I had some other people in front of me, but it was across the way.
Okay, I was going to say because I was at home watching.
Yeah.
So yes, I was waiting for. I thought maybe during halftime they would introduce Coach, and then they finally showed it in the second half, right about then. So yeah, I got to see all of it.
Got it all
right there at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so obviously we have Auburn coming up this week, and we will hear your call on Wednesday evening.
Hope so.
Yeah. And then traveling this weekend, or are y'all back home this weekend?
Actually, back home.
Back home this weekend. Yes.
LSU, I believe. Back home.
Again, just whenever they're
tossing
the ball up at mid-court.
Hope I show up at the right place.
Go ahead and look for him. And we can always find you when not listening to you.
On X at C Stewart Sports. And I got some more stuff I'm working on social media-wise.
Yeah.
We'll share that here in a couple of weeks.
And crazy enough, we also have baseball coming up, which is just...
We do indeed. Hey, Coach, and if this comes out on Monday night, which is a good chance, some teases may for this anyway. Yeah. Hey, Coach, tonight, where Rob Vaughn, the new baseball coach, will be joining me.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, well, before we let the folks go, we have to give them what they came for.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. For Chris Stewart, I'm Kelly Hunter. We thank everybody here at Double Down Media, as well as the good folks at the Next Round. So you can catch them each day, and even on the week, you can probably catch them just about any time because they are around and available.
They get around.
Yeah, even more than you, that's saying something.
I'm going home.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.